Welcome back to the last video of this mini-series. So to recap one more time, we've talked about the food diary, your maintenance calories, starting a muscle building phase. And then today we're going to talk about how to properly start a weight loss phase. Now first, I do want to talk about the difference between losing weight and losing body fat. A little bit about the habits that you probably want to establish first. Then what you should do before going into it. Your first adjustment, what to expect, how to make further adjustments, and what to base those on, how to track your progress. And then lastly, we'll touch on how much you can get out of a single weight loss phase. And when we're talking weight loss, it can actually include water, muscle, glycogen, which is stored carbohydrate in the muscle. Then there's weight from food and of course body fat. But when we go into a weight loss phase, we really are looking for fat loss, right? Because we don't also want to lose the muscle that we've been building, because that's going to be huge for body composition, your metabolism, and much more. Now, we're not going to go into this with a crash dieting mindset. We don't necessarily want to rush the process because, first of all, a lot of those crash diets really come down to just losing a whole bunch of muscle and mostly just water weight that will give you the idea of quick weight loss in the short term, but that will just come back in no time. Plus, what usually happens when we do those crash diets, we struggle with hunger, we can't sustain it, and then we'll rebound. So let's not do that, right? Now, depending on where you're at in your journey, I don't think it's a great idea to just jump into a weight loss phase, which is also why this is video 4. Not the first one, because you want to have a few habits in place. First of all, you want to make sure that you're able to control your energy balance, because if that's already impossible at maintenance, I don't think it's going to be very successful in the weight loss phase either. So take care of that first. And I also want you to make sure that you're getting sufficient protein. That's going to keep you full, going to help you hold on to muscle or even build muscle. And then of course there's fruits, veggies that we want to include. You probably want to be walking about 8 to 10,000 steps, drink water, sleep well, and then lastly train a couple times a week. And once you're ready and once most of those habits are in place, then I would say, hey, let's start a weight loss phase. But be honest here, don't try to rush this process. And that's exactly why I told you start with the food diary and then maintenance, because that should already kind of prepare you for this moment. You kind of know how to do this now. Now let's actually get you into a weight loss phase if weight loss is one of your goals, which I'm assuming it is since you're watching this video. All right, so where do you begin? I usually have people start off with a 15 to 25% reduction in calories. There's something to be said about going hard here. I don't think that it's a great idea to stay in a very long deficit where you barely see any progress. Now, what it's going to be for you, I can't necessarily tell you. So once again, if you need more help with this, let me know, because there are many factors that might influence this decision. But okay, for now, let's stick to that range, like 15 to 25%. And why is that? Well, remember, let's say this is your maintenance calorie range. Preferably, I want you to be here. We want your body to be used to a lot of calories. You want to be burning a lot of calories, which usually happens, at the top of your maintenance range. It's also cool to start from down here, but then we just have to go a little bit lower in terms. But either way, knowing that your maintenance once again is a range, we just want to make sure that we get out of that range instead of kind of like bring you here and then here and then here and then eventually in a deficit. So that's why we start with that bigger cut in calories. Now, very important to do this right. Your protein should not be touched. If anything, you actually want to raise that a little. Add like 20 to 40 grams maybe, just to mitigate the hunger a little bit and to make sure that we hold on to as much muscle as possible. Then once you start with a deficit, I don't want you to change anything for 2, maybe even 3 weeks. Now, why is that? Some people actually see a lot of weight loss in the first week, while others might not see any at all. I've had people who stayed the exact same weight for 3 weeks and then all of a sudden they saw drop. What it's going to be for you, who knows? There's only one way to find out, and that's actually going into a deficit. So let's start with that, right? 2 weeks at that initial decrease. If you're not 100% sure whether you should decrease or not after that, which really is going to depend, then maybe wait another week. Either way, try not to rush cutting calories even further. You kind of want to get away with as many calories as possible for as long as possible, because less is not necessarily better. It might just mean that your body is going to adapt a little quicker. Then once you start losing weight, you want to kind of stick to a safe zone when it comes to your rate of weight loss. Anywhere between 0.5 and 1% of weight loss per week, and that's on average, by the way, seems to be the sweet spot. At this rate, we see a good amount of progress, plus we make sure that you mostly lose body fat while holding on to as much muscle as possible. Now, there is something to be said about sticking to the 1% range. Now, I still want you to take that range with a grain of salt. Some weeks are going to be slower, some weeks might be faster, but as long as you're on average sticking within that range, you should be good. Now, how often should you adjust your calories? Maybe once every 2 to 3 weeks, but it's going to depend. Remember, one client losing weight on the same macros for 2 months straight, and then someone else who really really had to cut calories every 2 weeks to even see a little bit of progress. Now here's how I suggest you track progress. Start with scale weight. Make sure to weigh yourself 3 times a week or even every day. Take your average and then compare the longer term weekly trends. Then second, I recommend taking body measurements every 2 weeks or so. This is going to give you a little bit more of a realistic view on where you're losing body fat. And then lastly, progress photos. Try to take photos every 2 to 4 weeks so you have an actual visual of your progress too. Because I can't tell you how often we've seen the scale weights barely move, but then the centimeters drop, plus we see better photos. So it's almost like a triple check, right? Let's start with weekly weight. If we don't see anything there, don't freak out. Let's check the measurements. We don't see anything there, triple check with the photos, and then we'll know if we actually want to make an adjustment or not. So how long should you keep going? What can you expect from one weight loss phase? Now I hate to say it again, but it depends. Depends on your goals, depends how your body responds, depends how well you can stick to it, because not everyone does great at adhering to a calorie deficit. Let's be honest, it is going to be difficult. You will notice hunger, lower energy, etc. But I would say let's maybe start with a 12 to 16 week cut. This gives you plenty of time to make a good amount of progress. Now you can go longer, but I definitely recommend at least taking a break before continuing then. Because the longer you go, the more your metabolism is going to adapt, it's going to slow down. And that being said, it's going to slowly become more difficult to lose weight. If you're not sure what to expect from a 12 to 16 weight loss phase, I would first of all try to figure it out based on those ideal rates. But an easier way to go about it is say aim for 10% of weight loss in one specific weight loss phase. Once again, we don't know how you're going to respond to the calorie deficit, so give it time and see how it goes. Don't freak out if you can't stick to that ideal rate. It's just a guideline to make sure that you don't lose weight too fast. Now, if you're having a hard time, here are a few bonus tips. First of all, you can spend a couple days a week at maintenance, or even take a diet break of 1 up to 2 weeks where you allow yourself to get used to a little bit more food. It's a nice mental break, and then afterwards, when you feel better, you can keep going. Now, once you've gone 12 to 16 weeks, I highly recommend at least taking a break at maintenance for, at least half of the amount of time, or preferably even 2/3. That way you make sure that you also get your body used to more food again, you kind of restore the metabolism, and then from there you could either start another cut, maybe a bulk, or even just staying at maintenance and eating for health. So I hope that was helpful, and I hope that this sets you up for a successful weight loss phase. If you're not 100% sure how to do this, or how long to go for, or what a realistic goal is, let me know, because I'm always here to help. I'll talk to you in the next video. Good luck.